resources, you have everything. Find what's lacking is far more difficult, except one little thing. The whole world is kind to me, but sorry.
Hey, everybody, stop talking about ableist slurs. I'm gonna make it so people can hear us now.
Is not allowed on Twitch.
Hi, everybody.
Why is
I made that
Canada
spray.
so-
I forgot I
Welcome
made that spray
to,
edit of the
Welcome to
Canada
pain. Welcome to misery. Welcome to suffering.
Welcome to the Orange Boy Show.
That too.
Orange has currently gone through a tech hell, as one might say.
Like, so deadass, just completely out of nowhere. No fucking reason whatsoever. I feel like I was physically attacked by my audio setup. It beat me down like a redheaded stepchild.
Jeez.
I experienced pain like I never felt for the past like 30 fucking minutes of my life. So yeah,
Damn, I had
not
to
great.
keep up and everything.
If I didn't feel betrayed by Warhammer, there's so many tech priest jokes I could make.
I still have cooking companions on standby.
No.
You and your cooking companions.
Con, you need a cooking companion. I feel like you're lonely without a cooking companion.
Jesus.
Hey,
I feel it.
No, that wasn't an insult. That wasn't an insult.
Because it's worth the read.
Oh,
You know there are
probably came
worse
off
things
the
out
But
there.
anyway,
If
I
you
want to talk
expect it
about
to be better than horrible,
my newly
you're
found
right.
flesh creature. I named him Gideon. Well, he named himself Gideon, but yeah.
I was making a joke about how she's been constantly shilling cooking companions.
Wait, is his name
I
Gideon
think
or
this
Lil
is a
Gideon?
meme that I don't get.
Hey Orange, can you
keep
start
showing
the
it.
stream so I don't
Hey, let's talk more stream.
Orange, can you start the stream so I don't get booted when I leave in 2 seconds?
That's the plan, Stan.
Alright, thanks.
Alright.
What's
God.
the plan?
Oh yeah, Umineko. When they
This is
Holy
Cool.
shit. Don't you dare. Don't you fucking start anything. Okay, cool. Good.
Oh.
Awesome.
Oh shit.
It was starting to fucking play the goddamn opening, and I can't have that.
For a moment
Right.
on the Discord window pop stream, I meant to close like the list that's right next to it, but instead I pressed Zaz's icon, and then it was just filled with a CSA face.
Oh yeah.
So,
I was like, what the
It's
fuck?
filled with a
So-
Have you
Z.
ever shown on stream what happens when you switch between questions and answers?
oh yeah, no, we have. Don't worry.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that everybody's nice and audible, because Randy, I have you at 200, and you're very quiet on my end for some reason.
Is this better?
That is much better, thank you.
Very good. Sponsors? Sponsors.
You can sponsor now.
Woo! This episode of Umineko no Naku Koro ni is brought to you by Planned Parenthood, a visible and reliable source in reproductive health education and information.
I'm scared.
Very.
This episode of Umineko is also brought to you by gas.
I don't know what this foreshadowing is, but I'm scared.
You see, if you don't subscribe, gas will fill the room. It won't kill you, but it'll make you smell bad.
It's such a fucking
Like fart gas.
Yes,
Fart
fart
gas,
gas
Jesus.
will fill the room.
Orange. This
Gas.
stream is so
Gas.
old and nothing
Gas.
came up that relates.
Okay, now it's serious.
Anyways,
Serious fart gas.
enough hijinks.
Very serious fart gas.
Enough pain. It's time for some good old-fashioned self-reliance. Look, I even put up the saves in all 4 of the slots, just like how it's supposed to be.
I love self-reliance, Charlie.
You located the saves. Look at that.
Alrighty then. Oh yeah, so I guess I'll preface this with one thing. So the installation went through like perfectly fine to my understanding. Just that for some reason, these 2 very specific files, they don't want to validate. It'll still probably get them when it needs to, but there's just a smidge of a chance that some shit might just break. You'll know what it is when we get there.
What do you
A
mean?
little excitement.
At any rate,
Let the wheel of fate spin.
now let's just get to it. Eric had returned to the room that had been given to her on the 2nd floor of the guest house. The next room over was empty. It was very quiet there. Even pressing her ear against the wall wouldn't help her listen in on the voices in the cousin's room. Even with hearing power boosted by the detective's authority, it would probably be impossible to make out anything. This room was the farthest down the hall, a long way away from the cousin room.
And last time my room was right next to theirs. I see. So he's placed my room farther away this time.
Such a modification to the initial arrangements is well covered by the authority given to the Game Master. It would seem to be quite a reasonable first move.
Well, it's better for me that way, too. Like I want to hear those brats' squeaky voices as they play cards.
This whole time, Erica had been facing the desk and working on something. She was preparing some of those packing tape seals from before. She had asked Kumasawa for the stickiest tape in the place. She drew a complicated signature that cannot be counterfeited across it with a permanent marker, and then began making notches across it. This way, if she ever wanted to prove that some opening had remained closed, she could stick the tape over it, creating a powerful seal equal in strength to the Red Truth. These menacing seals had cornered Natsuhi so thoroughly in this previous game.
Great.
Ow.
Is something wrong?
He got me. That pal doesn't let anything skip by him, does he?
Erica grimaced and showed the piece of packing tape had been torn off to Delanor. At a glance, Delanor couldn't tell what had annoyed Erica. However, as soon as she held it, she realized the difference right away.
This won't be any good.
Yep. It's barely sticky at all. It won't even reach close to the Red Truth.
Even packing tape can be of low quality, and sometimes get weaker with age. The tape Kumasawa had found was a bit too weak even for normal use. It wasn't nearly sticky enough to be used as a detective seal.
It is possible to tear it off cleanly. This cannot count as proof of a seal.
I guess Pal isn't as totally incompetent as I thought. He probably tampered with all the packing tape on the island using the authority of the Game Master.
Letting Erica get her hands on packing tape gave her a fatal weapon to use against witches. The previous game had proven this fact, and so Balor had removed that weapon from the entire mansion.
Most likely. All possible substitutes for packaging tape have also been tampered with.
Probably. Well, it isn't really so bad. At least this way I won't have to look like a fool crawling all over the outer wall in the cold rain.
Erica tossed the packing tape aside carelessly and flopped Spread Eagle onto the bed.
Anyway, waiting calmly for the crime and smoking a pipe is also part of a detective role. I don't have any role until the first twilight begins. So why not vanish off somewhere and take a break? I imagine that just the sight of my face is tiresome for you.
I do not smoke. I am just a kid.
Oh, really? I wish I could. Well, only if it really is as refreshing as smokers claim.
It seems that you are not in high spirits.
Does it look that way?
Eric answered lazily, still looking up at the ceiling. That in itself was half an answer. Silence between the two was filled by the sound of the wind and rain. It was so quiet that the sound of the ticking clock rang out clearly.
Lady Erica, may I ask a question?
Depends on what it is. Answer's probably no, though. Well, we're just killing time anyway. What is it?
Maybe Erica was bored too. Or perhaps the sound of the rain was making her sentimental. She agreed to listen to Delanor, which was very unlike her.
Why? Why do you hate magic?
May I think downstairs with Maria?
It was merely a foolish trick to deceive children. Everyone knew that. Was it really necessary to go so far to destroy that illusion? I cannot understand.
Erica didn't need Delanor to tell her that it had become a childish fight.
Well, I am a self-proclaimed intellectual rapist. I can't stand having magic confuse the truth.
So, you feel pleasure from exposing that. I sense a different emotion.
A different emotion? What's that?
To me, it feels less like pleasure and more like a different negative emotion.
You really are a murder doll, aren't you? Even your eyes are like knotholes.
My apologies. Please forgive me.
Erica rolled over grumpily, turning her back to Delanor. So, Delanor couldn't see her expression. Even so, for some reason she guessed that this completely unobserved expression was one of pain. Interpreting this to mean that Erica wanted her to go away, Delanor gave a bow and made to leave. Then, Erica suddenly spoke. The words seemed so utterly out of place that Delanor had doubted her ears, and she had to ask Erica to say it again.
What did you say?
I love you.
It really did seem utterly out of place. Delanor wanted to see what Erica really meant, but the latter still had her back turned and her face was out of sight.
Thank you very much.
I was going out with someone a while back. We've completely broken up. The others might say things out of envy, but please ignore them. I'm going to devote my whole life to you, so I want you to do the same for me. Let's find happiness together.
Delanor avoided asking what she was talking about, and just stood there in silence. For a while, Erica kept on dully and emotionlessly, repeating soppy phrases that might have popped up in some shoujo manga. Then, unexpectedly, she once again followed up with a complete, utter non sequitur.
A new wallet.
Of course, she had no idea what Erica was saying. However, with her back still to Delanor, Erica kept on saying disconnected words.
Strange cat keychain. A type of cologne that doesn't suit him. A magic tape that's not his style.
Music tape that's not his style.
Which he said he borrowed from the senior at the theater. The senior was asking me, so he had to go. He suddenly got a new part-time job. He said he was talking with a friend on the phone who just wouldn't hang up. Made too much curry. Went to theater practice more often. Then the way he folds paper towels. Thanks, I've already eaten. He knew more about cosmetics. Sorry, I was sleeping. The toilet seat was left down. He spent the night over at his strange friend's place. My acting friends had a party here earlier. Someone must have left it behind. The drain and sink were cleaned out. Receipts and point cards from places he never goes. The muddy soles are evidence that you were out Sunday when it was raining. That matches that strange symbol on the calendar. None of your theater friends have hair this long. That's a leading question. I know the plot of a movie you haven't seen yet. Evidence, circumstantial evidence, observation, surveillance, tracking, tailing, information gathering, wiretapping, asking around, questioning. I found tons of evidence that I loved you. I found tons of evidence that you loved me. But I can't find any evidence that you haven't been cheating on me. Give it a rest. If you love me, then trust me. If you can't do that, then you don't love me anymore. How could I love someone like that? I'll treasure you for all my life, and I want you I want to do well in theater just as much. You say you like seeing me act, right? So why are you telling me to stop acting now? But I have to choose between you and acting. What's wrong with you? I'm seriously worn out, okay? Come on. If all we do is fight when we see each other, maybe we'll need to spend some time, get some time to cool off, okay? I need to concentrate for my next performance anyway. The girl working with Senpai suddenly said she wouldn't be able to perform. You write the script out tomorrow. I don't have time for this. And anyway, if you really find it that hard to trust me, we're through. Stay away. Just go home, bitch. I don't love you anymore. Don't cry, damn it. It's disgusting. Just die. Stop shouting, damn it. You're annoying the neighborhood. Just get the hell away from me and never come back. Without love that cannot be seen. Ha! That's backwards. Because of love, you end up seeing things that don't even exist. It's nothing more than an illusion. One that no one but you can see. One that you can never touch. Without love, humans would never need to sift through truth and lies. Because we can see things like that. We doubt. We suffer. We cry out loud. Right now, I'm happy. That may be temporary. I've become the Witch of Truth. As I am now, I no longer need to worry about being tormented by non-red words. What about you? How would you have countered my endgame?
How would I?
That useless man couldn't have played the part of my opponent in that game. I was wondering how you would have countered it. Delano was suddenly thrust into the position of Erica's opponent. In the Witch's game, she had once challenged that man to. Delano shared in the fragments of Erica's past and was made to grasp the full situation. The board was reproduced in full inside their heads. The situation was one-sided. Erica's side had constructed a blue truth based on countless bits of circumstantial evidence, had turned all of those into pieces, and was already cornering the opponent. For some time, Delano thought in silence, and announced her by-the-book response.
First move. I demand that you provide evidence that I have been cheating.
Counter with the blue truth. I present 64 points of circumstantial and physical evidence.
Counter with the blue truth. I present 6 points of circumstantial and physical evidence that I still love you.
Good. Blue and blue cancel each other out. The number of pieces used to construct each is overwhelmingly unbalanced. When both opponents meet with the blue truth, the decision is almost always based on which side has more pieces of evidence, regardless of the actual circumstances. This is especially true in the human world. So, by the standard rules, Erica would win. First point to me. Your next move.
I will attempt to switch from defense. I ask that you, Lady Erica, provide proof that you are not cheating.
Perpetual check. That's a forbidden move, since it results in an endless repetition of the same question going both ways.
Then I frankly declare that despite a lack of proof, I still love Lady Erica even now.
That's not red truth, so it's invalid. Even if it was red, that'd be a stalemate. After all, I'd have no move to counter with.
Delano remained silent for a while. Then she quietly responded to Erica's moves, until they reached checkmate. A stalemate is a forbidden move in the game of witches, since it means the ruin of a game. However, in chess, it also represents a draw. because it's a splendid final move that a weaker player can pull off if they're unable to win outright. In this situation, Erica clearly had the advantage. So it was natural that Delanor would seek a stalemate to obtain a tie. However, that would only be the case in chess. In the game where witches fight over the truth, it's a forbidden move. So it was already checkmate from the beginning. Delanor had no way to turn the game around. However, regardless of what the real truth between the pair of them had been, this game would be...
Any other moves? Oh, witch-hunting Archbishop, protector of the truth?
No. I resign.
See? There you go.
Erica had succeeded in crushing her opponent with the truth she espoused. That her former boyfriend no longer loved her and was cheating on her. Her opponent had no way to argue back. After all, humans are not allowed to. A splendid game. A splendid finish from a superior position. Regardless of the truth of her opponent, Erica could win. A splendid victory. Delanor could only respond with silence. And with that, Erica spoke no more. She'd probably done talking and wanted Delanor to leave. Delanor understood this, but even so, before leaving she wanted to tell Erica one thing.
A splendid game, Lady Erica.
It's only natural that the detective wins.
Even before you became Lady Bernkenstell's piece, you truly were a splendid wielder of the blue truth. However, Lady Erica, humans are only allowed to use the blue truth. And the one thing that can counter blue truth is red truth. And humans are not allowed to use the red truth. In that case, how should your opponent have shown his truth?
Who knows? Maybe you should have used that gold truth or whatever. It's supposed to be stronger than red truth at times.
You certainly were the victor in that game. However, allow me to say this as a protector of the truth.
What? I imagine something unpleasant, so say it and go away.
Yes. This game is your victory. However, you still have not denied the 6 points of blue truth evidence I used to claim that I still love you. Even you are human. You cannot use red truth to deny those points.
Later on, I used the detective's authority to have all 64 points transformed into red truth. By the power of my master! I am human, yet superior to humans. A detective and a witch. I am the Witch of Truth, through out Erica. Any other questions? Parting remarks?
None. In that case, please excuse me.
Delanor bowed and disappeared. After that will remain was a single Witch of Truth laughing off a bitter past, with an equally bitter smile. Judging by the bedside clock, it was almost exactly midnight.
Okay, guess I should get a little sleep. The curtain is finally opened on the second day, October 5th. I wonder if this round's murders are happening somewhere about now. I hope our victims leave us some interesting dying messages this time.
Okay, that was a thing.
Yeah.
No, man, my light's flickering up, but am I audible?
Yeah,
Or do I need to hit the mute?
It's not like you're fine.
Anyway, Ava, you're needed.
Okay, 1 second.
Why didn't you discuss this with your mother? This is about the partner who's supposed to support you throughout the rest of your life.
That's right. She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with.
And that's why I need you to choose very carefully, right? How can you be so rash?
Ava and George could be seen beneath the eaves of the guest house. George had revealed his engagement with Shannon. Ava's anger had exploded almost instantly. This had been no more than George had expected. So he had responded with an ice-cold calm.
Did you sleep with her? She told you she was pregnant to force you into a marriage, didn't she?
How rude. I'm a strong believer in preserving chastity before marriage.
Then why an engagement?
I asked her. She accepted. What more can be needed?
No, it's all wrong. Marriage isn't as easy as it seems in manga or whatever you're thinking of. What about her parents? Relationships between the two families. Are you some stray alley cat or are you Ushiramiya George? How could you be so rash now, when you might even be selected as grandfather's successor? Why didn't you consult me?
I'm consulting you right now. No, not consulting. I'm just reporting. I've never counted on being selected as grandfather's successor. In fact, I'd rather refuse it if it did come to that. I want to build up my own country and castle from the empty wilds, just like father did.
Now listen here! Do you realize how hard your father has worked to get here? That's not something you could duplicate just by imitating him. Do you understand how often he was saved by luck and coincidence before now?
And he got through it because he had a wonderful life partner by his side. You. Say I was the kind of person who would support me and make me reborn as even a stronger man. You praised me for becoming the adult I am, but that could have never happened without her.
What? Are you listening, George? Just let your mother handle this for now. Please, cool your head and think very carefully. Shannon isn't the only person interested in you, right? Ayumi-san from that marriage meeting really took a liking to you.
First I've heard of it.
I thought you knew. Your parents were also very impressed by you. If you really dream to build your own castle like your father, Ayumi-san is the one who'd really be able to help you, right? Do you intend to betray her feelings?
There's nothing to betray. There was never any special relationship between Ayumi-san and me. We just had a marriage meeting and our parents got all fired up afterwards. You made us go out together several times, so we never even looked at each other.
Ayumi-san is a well-bred, modest woman, isn't she? She just couldn't look at you because you're a man and would be embarrassing and ill-mannered. If you can't feel anything for her unless she looks at your eyes, then just tell her that. I'm sure she'll look at you in the future.
You want me to marry Ayumi-san because it'll benefit you. You aren't pushing that engagement for the sake of anyone but yourself.
Shut George! How can you say that? Have I ever failed to think about what's best for you? Haven't I? I haven't, have I? What is a parent's job? It's to look after the long-term welfare of their children, right? We've been looking down upon your entire future from a great height. And from our vantage point, we can see that you're letting your momentary youthful emotions lead you down the wrong path. That's why I'm saying this, even though I know you'll hate me for it. If I didn't care for you, we wouldn't be having this fight. I'd just tell you to marry whatever strange girl you like and leave you be. You hear me, George? Leave this to your mother. There's no need for you to meet with Shannon Chan anymore. We'll take care of everything for you. Don't worry, we won't do anything bad to Shannon Chan. After all, it's thanks to her that you've grown so much. We won't forget that. So leave the rest to us. George.
Sometime during Ava's rage, tears started to drip from her eyes. As though those tears had caused him to hesitate, George turned his back and sagged his shoulders. Even George is a child of man, after all, who understands that marriage requires nothing more than the love of two people. He can't get over his desire for his parents' acceptance. And so he is trapped between the tears of the mother who has always helped him and the fiancé he chose. Or is he?
Okay. I think that's about enough.
Huh?
All my life, you've done a great job raising me, and I'm grateful for that. When I have children and become a parent, I'll become a parent like you. I'll be the kind of parent most worthy of respect in the entire world, one who could truly fight for his children's sake.
George.
With his back still towards her, George threw away his umbrella and slowly stepped out from beneath the eaves into the rain. Then, he slowly turned around. It was, without a doubt, the familiar face of Ava's beloved son. However, he was now his own man. Self-controlled and independent enough that their blood connection might be forgotten.
I think it's about time.
What?
I think it's about time you've learned to let go of your son, Mother.
Sure.
From now on, let's stop talking as mother and son. I'm George. You are Ava. Let's not forget that you are my parent, and let our true intentions ring clear. The reason you wanted to choose the person I marry is for financial reasons, public appearances, and so that you can look good in the continuing quarrel between you and your siblings. You have no other reason. You will do well just to give up and admit it now. I'm about to share my point of view with you. I suggest you do the same. After all, you will lose.
No traces of love or respect for his mother remained in George's eyes. There's only a frigid glare as he gazed ruthlessly down at the witch, who was trying to bind his future.
George, why are you looking at your mother like that?
Because I'm not looking at my mother. All I see is a wall, A trial that's standing in the way of the future I'm trying to grasp. You're only human. I know that you have dreams and ambitions, and that you're still chasing after those. And I think it's a wonderful thing. We also know how hard it is for a person to chase their dreams without giving up. So I'll need to inherit your wonderful strength. I've learned a lot from my parents, my friends, and Seo, and I've grown. And the last thing I've heard, acquired and perfected, is the real Shiromiya George! Now I'll overcome the final barrier. You! What?
Ava had disappeared. The pouring rain landed evenly across the ground, everywhere. Now it was blocked very slightly in one place. However, there was no one there. Standing on the ground isn't the only way to block the path of the rain. Then, could it be...
Ha!
Sure, it's good for people to let their true feelings show every once in a while. I'll speak my mind too. So, why don't you just lay it all out as well?
In the rain-filled sky, with a moon that shouldn't have been visible behind her, was the golden witch of the future, who had finally obtained everything for the Ashurmiya family. Even the drastic change in his mother's appearance didn't faze George. On the contrary, he seemed to be moved by her boldness, because his mother had honestly and truly displayed her true nature. This way,
I can confidently show her my true self. Here we go, Mother. Here we go, Ava. This is my first step towards escaping from your shackles.
First step?
with that first step, he felt something odd beneath his feet. He knew this sticky sensation, different from that of mud, represented his mother's arrogance trying to prevent him from making that first step.
I used to read to you all the time when you were little, didn't I? Do you remember your favorite story, Journey to the West?
That takes me back. That's probably the first fantasy I really loved.
Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, wanted to become a god and was tested by Buddha. If you could jump free from the palm of my hand, I will acknowledge your wish. Then Sun Wukong managed to reach what he thought was the end of the world, and found 5 pillars standing there. Only to discover that they were Buddha's fingers, and he still hadn't left Buddha's hand.
And you're likening this to my first step, me declaring my intention to break free from you?
Your resistance, your conflict, your anguish, and self-restraint and everything else. All of it is a road I once traveled down. This first step of yours is so trivial when compared to my life. You'd just get gobbled up. How long are you gonna look away? If only you just look. At your feet!
At George's feet, on the pitch-black earth soaked by the pounding rain, what appeared to be a slightly red sash that glowed ominously and blocked George's first step. It was deep, viscous, and it held George's foot in place. Ava's perspective as she gazed down from the sky was a vast red spiderweb that radiated out with George at the center.
That's right. This is me. This is me being tied down by countless studies. And raised for the sake of your ambitions.
No, that's not it. Let me put it so you can understand. I'll show you. And then you'll realize the truth.
The vast red spider web on the ground scooped up George as easily as scooping scum out of a pot. Then it lifted him into the air like a deer caught a net and swung him about. Laughing insanely, Ava was innocent and cruel. Was as innocent and cruel as a grade schooler happily swinging about a bag filled with their gym clothes.
Go!
Come on, try to remember, okay? What happened on Tuesdays?
I remember. That was piano lessons. I still cringe whenever I hear I stepped on a cat. Again.
You did violin in kindergarten. That's the sort of instrument you'd expect smart kids to play, right? But you didn't seem to have the talent. So we switched you over to piano. Then, do you remember what you did on Wednesdays?
I remember. That was the day I had cram school. I was so far away and a real pain to have to travel to.
And Thursdays? That was the day for supplemental lessons. You were just terrible at subjects with memorization, weren't you? You would apply your knowledge, but were horrible at learning by rote. A classic, he can do it if he tries kid.
That one stung. Those are the most annoying words a kid can hear at a parent-teacher conference.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
That's a British aphorism, isn't it?
Making you get and stay motivated was the hardest thing to do!
George was bound hand and foot by the bright red spider web, reduced to the witch's plaything. She innocently swung him around and smashed him about, all with an insane laugh, again and again.
Do you remember what you did on Friday?
Of course. As far as after-school lessons go, that one was pretty unique. The school you go to with your parents can be trying to be more in ways than one. Can be trying in more ways than one.
Don't buy your child a fishing rod, go fishing with him.
You certainly like British education theory, don't you, Mother?
That school was hard on us parents too. But for you, it was the most effective one. The monthly fee was high, and it was a pain to have to spend Friday nights there every week. but it did more for you than anything else. That's when I realized kids don't grow unless their parents watch over them. If children are sprouts, then parents are the sun. No plants will bud and no flowers will bloom without the sun.
Still bound hand and foot, George was thrown, slammed, and smashed. He could do nothing. He was still like Sun Wukong, unable to leave the palm of his mother's hand. However, since he wouldn't surrender, he could still show resistance at any time.
And what about Saturdays, huh?
That was when the tutor came.
He came to our house, which made it much easier, right?
It was the pain having to invite some other person into my own private room every week. I hate the smell of sweat left behind when he left, so much that I can still remember it.
He was a wonderful teacher who drilled a scholarly attitude into you. His monthly fees were on par with a lawyer's consultation fee, and it was well worth it.
Then, on Sundays and Mondays I followed, I didn't have any extra school and could finally rest. How ironic. Having those extra classes from Tuesday till Saturday held me down all this time? I really am just like Sun Wukong.
Yeah, if you're arrogant enough to think that you can escape from the palm of my hand, you'll be crushed by Buddha's 5 mountains.
Sun Wukong, who wanted to become a god, was crushed by the 5 mountains of fire, water, wood, metal, and earth, and sealed away. These are the 5 elements that the days of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, are named after in Japanese. Only now did George, who had always admired Sun Wukong, realize this greatest of ironies.
Just like Sun Wukong, you need to reflect upon and be punished for your arrogance. If you can show that you're willing to reform yourself, I'll release you.
That's not being released, it's brainwashing!
There's no need to think about anything. Why not just leave everything to Mama? I'll decide everything for you. That's the best kind of life for you. I found the most intellectual woman in the world, willing to devote herself to you entirely. I'll arrange for all of your successes and even prepare the roads leading to them. And eventually, you will be chosen for the highest honor in the Ushirimiya family, the position as successor to the headship. Only then will you begin your true life.
That first step?
First step?
I got you.
Don't make me laugh. You still haven't even been born yet. This isn't my web that you're caught in. You're still inside my caring, nurturing womb!
George was slammed against the ground over and over again. It was a heartless atrocity, unlike anything one would expect a blood relatives-related son to receive. However, in Ava's eyes, perhaps even this was a sign of love, her precious son. The human-shaped lump of flesh wrapped in the red bag was slammed over and over, then thrown high into the air, where it was caught in a massive spiderweb in the sky, still covered with fresh blood. While he hung there as though crucified, George didn't even twitch. Even if he had some power to resist remaining to him, the red web pinning him there would have held even that in check. The rain, which had been falling non-stop since the beginning, quietly tormented and pitied George.
Be sealed by the 5 mountains and cool your head. I'm not telling you to stop because I think Shannon Chan's a bad kid, okay? She's a great girl, the one who gave you the chance you needed to grow up. However, an ill-considered engagement is a matter differently and entirely. The issue has nothing to do with some failing on her part. Understand that.
Blame the problem, not the peer. Right? That's another British saying.
I really did raise you to be a smart kid. No, I am raising you. You're still inside me, right? You need to be nurtured a little longer. Okay, that's enough punishment, so apologize to your mother.
Spiderweb released George reluctantly. Then it threw him to the ground beneath the cloudy sky.
Thank you, Mother.
It was all George could do to get up on his hands and knees. Though he wiped the mud away and stood his ground, he still couldn't raise his head.
Everything you've done so far, you've done for me, haven't you? Thank you. Thanks for everything.
That's right. You must hate me now. But one day you'll thank me. I'm sure you'll understand how much I loved you.
Being bound by all those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday is a sign of how hard you worked to raise me to be an excellent man.
That's another British phrase. To cover a child in blessings is the greatest education of all.
Thank you. In return, I'll give you a British saying.
What's that?
Even if you strike all the trees in the forest once with an axe, it will not fell a single tree.
And what does that mean?
Maybe this one is clear. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. Francis Bacon.
The man, drenched in mud and blood, straightened his crooked glasses and slowly stood up, though he was still covered in filth. His appearance had a divine quality to it, something that could only appear on a self-controlled man, not one who had merely been dozing in his mother's amniotic fluid.
I cannot count the number of things I've learned from Sayo. She taught me courage and chivalry. How to be ambitious and witty and humorous, and just a little stylish. It's ironic. Almost all the things you say are so wonderful about me didn't come from you at all.
George, are you still? Time to get back in Mother's womb. I'll nurture you in a sea of warmth once more.
As Ava howled, a bright web spiderweb appeared at George's feet once more and tried to scoop him up into the air again. However, at that instant, a powerful magic circle could be seen in the area surrounding George for just a moment. Faster than he could be scooped up by the spiderweb, George jumped. And with a sharp kick of the heel and a magnificent forward flip, He cut the shackles off of that spider web apart. The smooth movement proved that he had possessed the power to escape from those shackles all along. He had willingly allowed himself to be bound by the web.
Everything I owe you for what you've done. I've paid back now with pain. Thanks to that, I think I'll finally be able to leave the nest for good. You really do need these every now and then? Fights between parents and kids.
George. Oof. Why did you disobey me completely? And with a little girl like that!
It looks like you really do need to let go, Mother. Maybe it's about time.
Time for what?
It's about time. Time to start fighting back.
The curtain of spiderwebs that Ava shot out from defense were all too slow. George weaved through them in one instant, and the next, he was right before her eyes. Ava jumped out of the way of a kick that would have knocked her feet out from under her, then blocked the second half of George's double roundhouse with a high kick of her own.
I guess there's one more thing I can thank you for teaching me.
Oh, and what day of the week was that?
It's material arts training we focused on during those long breaks from school. Martial arts.
I'm glad, George, to hear you're grateful for at least one thing. Your mother is happy.
Ava's swift feet flashed like lightning. Low, 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 mid-level attack. As George's head fell forward, she caught it in both hands as though she was about to smash it against the ground. It was then met with Ava's knee as it rose like a bolt of lightning from the earth.
You should have learned Muay Thai too! It would have been more fun to have learned it with you.
You're right. I would have never had more fun than when I was learning martial arts with you.
And right now is when we get to have the most fun. Isn't it fun, George? Isn't it?
Isn't it fun to play with your son like this? Mother?
Yes, it is. You're my precious son, and I love you lots and lots inside my womb. I even love it when you kick in there.
Understood. But this kick's coming from outside your belly.
George's knee buried itself into Ava's abdomen. An instant before, she felt the pain from that fierce attack. Ava watched her son kick with a proud smile, and then vomit.
You're getting on in years, Mother. Maybe it's about time you held back on wearing childish clothes like that.
George!
Her chin still covered in vomit, Ava looked up at George in twisted anguish. He could see how pathetic her face was by her reflection in his glasses.
Both you and I need to leave our childhood days behind. So long, Mother.
The fierce lightning and rain made time freeze. George's beautiful kick had stopped an inch from Ava's chest. However, the power of the red magic circle surrounding George had already pierced Ava's body. Though he had stopped without hitting her, blood poured out of Ava's back. No wound had been left on her chest, but her heart had been punched through. Ava slumped backwards and landed in a puddle with a splash. There were no convulsions. Her life had been ended without leaving her even an instant to writhe about in pain.
I know you're somewhere over there. Gap.
As he straightened his glasses, George spoke to the rose thicket behind him. Then a pitch-black hole opened in the air there, and Gap jumped out. Impressive. Even considering that I was before her ascension. I can't believe you managed to defeat Ava, Beatrice.
I thought you'd be there. Thanks for not interfering. I'm glad we were able to keep it between mother and son.
But of course, I wasn't here. You summoned me just now.
It doesn't matter either way. I have something to ask of you.
Is there any reason I should listen?
Will you refuse to listen?
With his back still facing her, George reset his glasses. The threat in his voice held the solemn presence of a king who could control demons. That presence made Gap gulp, and she licked her lips before bowing respectfully to his back. I like hard guys, but I like monarchs even more. Your wish is my command, O Demon King.
I want you to lay her body to rest in a place fitting for a woman who admired the head of the Shiramiya family, and who lived their life with the misguided dreams of that position.
So, in Kinzo's study?
No. The VIP room will do fine. Then that never opened VIP room on the second floor of the mansion.
Ah, that room. As you wish, Your Majesty. Gap approached Ava's corpse and lightly tapped the ground at her right ear. When she did, a large hole opened up, full of both Gap and the corpse, and closed. After a while, a small hole opened in the air. And the staff Ava always carried, marked with the one-winged eagle that symbolized the Ashurmi family's leader, was spat out into a puzzle. Because the corpse would no longer have any use for it. George slowly approached that staff, and stepped down hard on the tip. When he did, the staff spun violently into the air. After passing by the blue moon that honored the Demon King, it flew into George's outstretched hand. The instant he grasped it, another fierce lightning bolt landed nearby. By the time the flash disappeared, the staff he held had become a spray of gold butterfly, and vanished. It was as though George had crushed the staff out of existence.
And now I finished my part. I'll let someone else have a turn.
I can't believe you attacked your own mother.
It's the person who loves you first in this world, and the last one you have to separate yourself from. That's what it means to leave your home. This is the courage I need to show to take Sayo as my wife.
George-sama.
Bravo, Shiromia George. An excellent start.
Even though it was just within the game. Even though it was just a piece. I didn't like having to kill my mother. However, that was the trial you set me, so I saw it through.
You said the two demons. The demons looked at each other, then showed their surprise with their now familiar exaggerated gestures.
Wonderful! Wasn't it splendid, Sapar?
Indeed it was, Fur. George Kunt's determination is the real deal. It seems I've misjudged you. Please accept my apologies.
George had chosen to go along with this theatrical conversation. He just quietly looked down upon the game board, found the piece representing his mother, which is right next to his, and tipped it over. This is the trial that Zapar and Fur had set for him. The love of the pairs will stand true, offer up the life of one person by our own hands. It was similar to that trial during Beato's game, where they were given 3 options as part of a test to select the next family head. However, a pair of lovers will never abandon each other's lives. They're automatically left with the option of sacrificing the life of another instead. In fact, it was merciful that they only had to choose the life of one person, other than themselves, instead of all. And besides, it only meant taking those lives as pieces on the board. For the versions of themselves to whom the game board was the only world, this was a tragic parasite. But to those who stood around the game board in this witch's smoking room, it was nothing more than the movement of the pieces, representing George's will to overcome his parents. However, the fact remained that the demons had ordered them to take these lives, even if it was just within one of the endless fragment worlds. George appeared to have distanced himself from the events on the demon's game board, but Jessica still seemed to resist the idea of stealing another person's life, even if it was only their life as a piece on the game board.
Have you been scared, Steph?
No. The Beatrice that Battleston desires would not be shaken by the likes of this.
Well then.
Who will undergo the next trial?
Please choose the next victim, it doesn't matter who.
Please name the next challenger. Any one of you may go.
If no one speaks up.
That means I win, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. If so, congratulations, Ashirmia George.
The key that leads to successful love between you and the one you cherish.
We will now
proudly grant.
Hold it right there.
As the demons delightedly named George as the victor, they were interrupted by the next challenger.
Jessica's son. I'm up next. Okay, I'll do it. I'll show you that I'm serious about Canicun.
Was that better?
Definitely more functional than the previous attempt.
Oh yeah, that's great, but I recoiled at some of those lines.
Alright, what the fuck was happening in the goddamn Discord call when what is this about Joshi not learning about amniotic fluid from a Dragon Ball short?
Based.
Well, no, I learned about placenta.
Why you learn placenta from
The fucking womb juice, Joshi?
He was shackled by friction
I'm gonna defend
knowledge
Joshi on
shackles.
this one.
I
To be
never
fair, I
fucking.
learned about it from the
don't know.
Twilight
I've
book,
never.
so that's not much better.
I've never watched someone give birth. Okay.
Look, America does not do good with sex ed in some areas.
It's true, they don't.
This is not an uncommon thing.
No, I've never seen animal birth either.
America does not do good with sex, period.
He does. He didn't watch that Jim Carrey rhino scene from Ace Ventura.
Plus, any sex ed I had was like when I was in elementary school, and I forgot most of it because I wanted to go home and play video games.
Elementary school?
As you can see, as you all can see, there is a reason why Planned Parenthood was our sponsor today. Please make sure to donate.
I would like to know. I suggested that.
Here's the thing. Also, I don't know what amniotic fluid is either.
If you want to know,
womb juice.
If you
That's
want to
all it
know,
is.
I just kind of assumed that it was womb juice.
That's all it is.
It's what you get when you juice the womb.
It's when
That's what happens when you milk the womb.
Me and my homies juicing the womb.
When you juice.
Also,
I didn't agree to
I have to
this.
say that it's pretty impressive that George managed to miscarry himself. So
if anyone else out there is interested, I have been having fun from the fucking get-go. Enjoying
I can
it.
tell.
Yeah.
This has been an interesting topic about
Yeah.
sexual education.
So, if I may ask, how was my George? I know I flubbed some words on accident.
I think it's good, but you know what? I wish I was you right now. I wish I got to experience that.
You mean to tell me you? All right, you want to get put in the unbirth machine? All right, let's go. Let's
By your
go.
own
You know
mother.
what? Like, I'm up for
Okay,
new
let's
things.
keep going.
Moving right along.
Yeah, let's move right along. Okay.
no, it's like I said in the chat. It's kind of funny. It's like impossibly like extreme like kinks are just kind of basic now that the internet has.
That is
gone
not
down.
basic.
Enough about that.
As usual, Orange, take us away, please.
Unbirth is not yet standard.
As usual.
As
Nearly as
usual,
freaky as
this year's family conference.
This year's family conference was getting bogged down. Everyone decided to cool their heads for a moment, and a short break had been agreed upon. The four siblings could say whatever they wanted. But Natsuhi and Kyrie, for example, were outsiders and found it difficult to speak freely in this sort of atmosphere. A conference where you aren't allowed to say what you want can be tiring even as you just sit there quietly. Even Kyrie couldn't help letting out a deep sigh. This was the second floor hallway of the mansion. Rudolph had wanted to be alone during the break, so she had felt like doing the same, and had drifted up the stairs to reach this place. Kyrie's expression was less tightly controlled than when her husband was around. She wore a tired look that she didn't often show. She pressed her cheeks against the cool window glass.
I need to regain my spirit and support my husband. Even if I'm not allowed to speak. That's the duty I've won. Who is it?
She suddenly sensed another person, turned around and looked behind her, and saw Jessica standing at the other end of the hallway.
Oh, it's you, Jessica John. Didn't you go to the guest house?
Well, I sort of decided to head back to my room to get a book.
I see. And you're on your way back to the guest house now.
Yes. That's right.
I can't stand this rain. Is the wind really strong?
It's weak right now, relatively speaking.
As Kyrie looked out the window, Jessica watched her back, looking agitated.
Aunt Curie. I'm sorry, but you've only got your bad luck to blame.
Ah, the power! Jessica's roulette of fate has chosen Kyrie.
What will you do, Jessica? The roulette has chosen Kyrie, but you may reject that choice and spin the roulette again if you wish.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter who's... Oh.
It doesn't matter whose life
is sacrificed for this trial.
Jessica wasn't like George. George had willingly chosen Ava to be his sacrifice, to signify his separation from his old life, so that he could step into a wonderful, new life, married to Shannon. However, Jessica hadn't thought of any particular target, though she had left it up to the roulette of fate. There was no exaggeration. She had walked around at random, imposing a rule on herself that the first person she met would be chosen as her sacrifice. And so the roulette of fate had brought her to Kyrie. Of course, there was nothing forcing her to keep that rule. However, Jessica didn't want to break a rule she had once made. Even though she was participating in a demon's game, she still wanted to cling to this one last virtue. Right now, she could attack that unprotected back. But Jessica still wasn't able to fully resolve herself.
What is it? Do you have something to say to me?
Noticing the strange distance Jessica was standing at, Kyrie turned around. That unprotected back was already gone. Jessica realized that her hesitation had made her lose her own first chance. She had taken on this demon's game to prove her love for Cannon. However, would it really be okay to sell her soul to demons for the sake of love? She had energetically consented to this demon's game, not wanting to let George, who had already taken an open-minded view of the situation, get any more of a lead on her. But her heart still wasn't ready.
Maybe I shouldn't be asking you this, Aunt Curie.
What is it? It's fair for you to ask me a question, Jessica-chan. I hope I'm able to answering them for you.
Actually, I have someone I like.
Oh, really? That's wonderful. Then is it love you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Very well. I'll help out if I can.
Thank you very much. Actually,
Is it still one-sided?
no. I guess you could say that it's just become mutual. But, well, there's this trial for us to be joined together.
A trial? Now, what could that be?
There's the two of us, and another pair of lovers. And we have to fight each other.
You mean a love triangle? Or is it a square? It sounds complicated. And
the pair who wins can be together. It's something complicated like that. In other words...
That sounds awful.
Hmm?
A love where neither side can succeed unless they use the other as a stepping stone.
Yes. If we're joined, then they'll fall apart. In the same way the other way around.
I think I see where you're going with this. Something like this, right? How far is a person allowed to take advantage of others to find happiness, right?
Yes, Kyrie was very smart. Sure to guess the question that Jessica had wanted to ask most.
If you don't fight, it'll automatically become their victory and you'll lose. However, if you fight and win, that means they'll fall apart. It's nasty either way. However, the answer is obvious.
Yes.
Kyrie giggled. If she wasn't willing to stick to her love until the end, then that would show the limits of their relationship. If that were the case, she should just let the other pair of lovers win. However, if this was a love she couldn't abandon, she couldn't abandon her chances at victory either. So she had no options other than to fight. In the end, Jessica's hesitation was caused by guilt, over forcing the others to split apart as the result of her inevitable decision.
I guess I really am just looking for an excuse.
Yes. That's what you're doing.
Still, that doesn't make it any easier to step over someone else. For the sake of your own love.
In that case, will you just give up on your lover?
That's...
I can tell you one thing for certain. Doing that will be even more painful. You'll be forced to crawl through hell for the rest of your life.
A hardness had entered Kyrie's gaze.
I was just 6, so I don't remember much about that time. However, I found Mom's notebook amongst her belongings after she died.
Was it a diary?
It was more a collection of her thoughts. It was much vaguer than a diary would have been. I found it and read it right after she passed away. But I needed to wait until I'd grown for several years before I could understand it.
I see. So, did it speak of Kyrie's worries about her marriage?
It was practically a book of curses. It cleared up several questions I vaguely felt back when I was 6. When I was 6, it seemed as though my parents were very close and had no problems. And I thought, and though I thought it odd, that Oni-chan lived separately. Even though he was in our family. I accepted it as the way things were.
And did you not know about Osamu?
I think Oni-chan talked to me about her when no one else was around, but it wasn't something a kid who wasn't even in elementary school could understand. After all, I never even saw a picture of her. Mom had sent all the pictures with Asumu-san and until Nichan, leaving none behind in the house.
To Angie and to Badly, who only rarely came home. By the way, Angie, could you move your phone a little bit away from your microphone? That was very audible. Kyrie's smile never faltered. If she hadn't written her thoughts in that notebook, Angie would probably never have known them. Since his school days, Rudolph had been particularly popular with girls. A typical playboy. Be bold over the top. Yet still just a little bit gentle towards women. He probably kept that formula for being popular with women inside his head. In their attempts to win Rudolph's favor, several women tried various seductive tricks. He would have probably enjoyed that part the most. Since the beginning, love had been a game to Rudolph. He never thought of it as a trial and error process to find a single life partner. He would intentionally spark jealousy between women, lap up their compliments, and revel in the harem.
Kanji.
Kanji.
Sorry. He may be my father, but he was an awful man. But at the same time, Dad must have looked down on those toadying girls. Mom, who was very aware of her self-worth and extreme intellect, must have stood out.
No, even that might have been due to Kyrie's more skillful methods of catching Rudolph's gaze.
Yeah, maybe. Mom was smart in a lot of ways.
Like the other Shirimiya siblings, Rudolph had strong ambitions and lofty goals. Under the motto of, if you can pull it off, you're golden, and as long as no one finds out, he'd alternate between setting up businesses that were borderline swindles or illegal, then running away.
I've heard that in his college years he was already making use of that talent, thinking up shameless projects and cleverly making money through the panic selling of party tickets. So much so that he could brag about carrying a wallet full of 110,000 yen notes all the time.
Many women fell for his charisma and being the man responsible for those radical projects, as well as his thick wallet and generosity. It wouldn't be a lie to say that Kyrie wasn't one of them. However, what made Kyrie different from other women is that she could support Rudolph as a business partner. Rudolph would make a large-scale party successful and able to hide his laughter at the massive easy profit. The women would surround him. Among them, only Kyrie was calm and composed. She could point out several ways that income and expenditure could be improved upon. Could even lay out a proposal for the next project.
So, Rudolph slowly began to accept her as a partner.
Just like some people say men don't belong in the kitchen. There's also a sense that women should stay out of financial affairs. It's normal for men to foot the bill for women. And the details of how those 10,000 yen notes were scrounched up are vulgar, so they don't ask, don't know, don't care.
So you're saying that Kyrie viewed money from a man's perspective.
Rudolph noticed the true treasure in this part of Kyrie. He knew exactly how much hard work it took to get just one of those 10,000 yen notes. So somewhere inside him, he had looked down upon those extravagant women, who never even considered the efforts he had undertaken. Of all of them, only Kyrie had possessed the same sharp financial intuition as Rudolph. Every time he thought of a new plan, he would talk to Kyrie about it, work out the kinks, and make it succeed. In this way, Kyrie steadily worked her way up until she was the number one of Rudolph's larger group of followers.
But Mom was still a woman. I doubt she enjoyed seeing Dad pampered by all those other girls.
So she would rather have been his only one instead of his number one.
Yeah. Though she served as Dad's right hand, she slyly got rid of the other women in the shadows. It was only a matter of time before Mom would succeed in her love.
When did Asumu come into the picture? She was one of Rudolph-san's groupies. No, not even that. She was just one of his fans.
Did you ever talk with her?
Of course. I knew her well. Ever since the very beginning, before Rudolph-san even knew her name. I'm sure she was quite intelligent herself. And cunning. I tried to use my intelligence to stick out, but she did it in the exact opposite way.
By being stupid?
I mean, she was good at triggering his protective instincts. Out of all the girls who came to flatter and flirt with him, only she stood out with every action she made, unlike the flashy girls Rudolph-san had tired of.
Kyrie still acknowledged the mistake she made in letting Asumu and Rudolph get too close. Kyrie had thought that taking the role of Rudolph's business partner meant that she would have him all to herself. That might have been due to her pride. And it might have been her arrogance that tried to eliminate the relationship between all other girls and Rudolph. Perhaps she sometimes tried too hard as a business partner, putting too much pressure on him, regardless of the fact that it was justified. Bit by bit, Rudolph had started to need a woman who could stay quiet and soothe him, without making him think about anything complicated. That woman was Asumu.
I am ruthless and intellectual. Rational and economical. In a plank of Carnade. In the plank of Carnade situation, I would push the other person off without hesitation. I thought that was the kind of part. You too late, nigga. I thought that was the kind of partner suitable for him.
However, though that ruthlessness had made her reliable on the business side of things, it might have disturbed Rudolph deeply, outside of business. At some point, though Rudolph still acknowledged Kyrie's skill, he began to yearn for a quiet, warm acceptance. Asumu had sacrificed all of those conditions. She could never talk about anything complicated. She would never talk about anything complicated. Even if he did, she would just shake her head and say she didn't know. However, she would care more for him physically than anyone else, quietly putting a blanket on him and staying by his side until morning.
Yes, I did get the position of his business partner. But before I knew it, Rudolph-san had grown a need for a mental partner, someone who could heal his heart. Though I foolishly claimed to be the intellectual one, I never noticed.
And then Uncle Rudolph married Aunt Asumu.
Yes, that's right. She stole him away by sleeping with him. He had slept with a lot of women. And by that point, he wasn't the kind of guy to let his emotions be captured by a woman just because he slept with her. After all, sleeping with women was just a game to him. That's why I used something other than my body to attract his attention. What pride. As a woman.
Before long, they were both pregnant. Asumu-san told Dad about it right away, but Mom did the opposite.
So she was afraid that the pregnancy would threaten her position as his business partner.
Apparently, Mom didn't eat much at the time, so her period was often irregular. Because of that, it took a really long time before she realized she was pregnant.
When did she notice?
It was after Asumu-san suddenly moved into Dad's family register. Mom learned about her pregnancy after that and plotted several times to split Asumu-san and Dad apart, but...
Even though Asumu-san always acted like such an airhead, once she got her hands on Rudolph-san, she didn't let go. Why should I care? Please stay out of the way, she said. And this coming from that little girl who'd curl up in a ball every time she got on a bus. At that point, I realized she had been the truly cunning one. Yes, even her fear of vehicles was another lie to catch Rudolph-san's sympathy. My apologies. I must be boring you.
Oh, no.
At the very least, I wanted him to acknowledge the child I'd give birth to. It seems as though Rudolph-san was prepared to do that. He made sure there was a hospital waiting for me, and even though Asumu-san was close to giving birth herself, he gallantly came to see me. Even though she was already his wife. What an awful man, really. After that is a tale I can't even bear to tell. Both Asumu and I had the same delivery date. And yet, her pregnancy had meant her marriage, where mine was completely meaningless. I swore to bring up my child well and have Rudolph-san acknowledge it. A fight between Asumu-san and me had ended with my loss. However, I wasn't down for the count. If I could make my child excel far more than Asumu-san's, if I could make it fully acknowledged by Rudolph-san, I would be rewarded. That's what I believed. However, that child was a stillbirth.
Yeah. Asumu-san gave birth to Oni-chan. But Mom didn't give birth to anyone. Even Mom's final hope of being left to spot his dad's second wife was destroyed.
Kyrie had fallen from being his partner to being his second wife. And then unable to give birth to the bond of a child, she tumbled down to being merely his mistress.
I believe this is Angie.
I can't imagine how much she must have hated Asuna and that kid. Battler. And despite that, Mom was able to act in a very friendly way towards Onicha. It was definitely a shock to me. To think that my gentle mother had held such negative emotions for Onicha and had managed to hide them.
She must have despised Battler.
Probably. If Asumu-san had had a stillbirth and Mom had given birth to Oni-chan, history might have changed in some way. Had that been the case, it seems she would have wanted to set up some scenario in which she'd make Dad divorce Asumu-san and marry her instead.
Was that also written in that book where she kept her thoughts?
Yeah. After all, that was just a random thought, a delusion. Mom's resentment she'd chewed on the corner of her tear-stained bed sheets.
There's just one thing I regret.
You mean the pregnancy?
No. It's my arrogance I regret. Rudolph-san is mine, so I'm completely safe. I'll never lose to that Asumu kid. When she was busy screaming her head off on buses and planes, I was capable of properly managing the arrangements and expenditures for them. And so I was overly confident that I was the one Rudolph-san trusted the most. They say love needs to be nurtured, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not wrong. The two of you need to water it, care for it, and nurture it. And in the end, it'll finally bear the fruit called love. And did you know? Love doesn't end when it bears fruit. If you don't harvest it as well, the romance you started with will never amount to anything.
Harvest it.
You need to think about yourself, Jessica-chan. If you make it bear fruit without harvesting it, it can sometimes grow rotten. And bugs will often gather around it. In fact, sometimes thieves will come by and pluck it off the branch. Young kids like you, Jessica-chan, think that love ends with nurturing. That is naive. If you don't harvest it, you'll never be rewarded for your love.
Harvest love.
At a glance, it may seem to be a matter just between a pair of lovers, but that isn't true. Putting off the harvest because you assumed you can do it any time just gives thieves a chance. What if the fruit you've worked so hard to nurture gets pulled off the branch the next morning? You regret that you didn't choose to harvest it the previous day instead of complaining. And that regret really hurts. It'll make you crawl through hell. I'm lucky. My hell ended after 18 years. So I'll never misjudge myself again. That person is mine. I won't let him get away. I won't let him out of my sight. And I'm grateful to my master for giving me that chance. My certain willpower in not giving up on that man no matter what was answered with a miracle.
By now, Jessica was speechless, and didn't even urge Kyrie to continue. The true form of love that Kyrie was telling her about was far more harsh than anything she had imagined.
Right now, I would do anything to keep Rudolph's son by my side. And I will show no mercy against his enemies. If he wished it, I might not even hesitate at murder. And because I finally resolved myself to doing that on the 18th year, that certain willpower brought about a miracle for me. You know, miracles only appear before those who can bring them to completion themselves.
Asuma's death had not been a murder of any sort. However, Kyrie had constantly cursed her and hoped for her death. And finally, on the 18th year, she had built the determination to kill her with her own hands. And she actually had gotten herself a blade to do the deed with. That was when a miracle had occurred.
Aunt Autumn passing away was a miracle.
Wrong. That wasn't even close to a miracle.
Huh?
After all, if she hadn't died, I would have killed her. In other words, she was fated to die no matter what. The miracle is that, even though she did die, I didn't have to get my hands dirty. That's all.
Until now, Kyrie had never shown Jessica. No, she had never even shown Rudolph that glint in the deepest depth of her eye. It told plainly and clearly that romance and love are not the sweet and fluffy candies that young girls imagine them to be. Jessica was overwhelmed by that pressure and stunned silent, and she had to acknowledge it. This was the power of will that could make love to be realized. With the force of this willpower, Kyrie had supported Rudolph as a wife, and it was the same as George's. He had developed and proven that he had the willpower to oppose all obstacles to love between different classes. Right now, Jessica could clearly understand the magnitude of George's determination. which had allowed him to coldly carry out his part of the trial. Then, what about her? Did she really have the resolve to make her love with Canon bear fruit, and to then harvest that fruit?
I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a little advice and I've gone and scared you. Blame the weather. I just wanted to press you a bit, but I've gone overboard.
Kyrie let a relaxed smile rise to her face. The tense atmosphere finally slackened. However, her words had been gouged into Jessica's heart.
I don't know what your love's been like, Jessica-chan. But if you have a rival and neither is willing to back down, you can't let yourself become complacent. If you do, you'll end up like me. For the sake of love, a woman should be prepared to kill at least once in her life. I can tell you that all women in the world who call themselves mothers have been through that. After all, women who don't do that are chewed to bits by others and forced to crawl through the hell of envy and regret for the rest of their lives. My hell lasted 18 years. I was lucky to be pardoned after just 18 years. That hell is still filled with women who will never get out until they die. Unless they execute themselves in their regret.
How should I put it? I have nothing to say.
I was trying to cheer you on, but I've gone and scared you too much. I'm truly sorry. Love can be much more easygoing than that, okay? Love really is like playing with fire. Anyone can play easily and lightheartedly. But when you mess up and get burned, that scar stays with you your whole life.
Regrets from love never fade. That was all that Kyrie had been trying to communicate. It wasn't like Kyrie to start telling stories from her past. Stories you would normally expect her to avoid instead of giving a brief answer. However, Kyrie might have thought Jessica deserved to hear. Jessica had timidly brought up the subject of love. Perhaps Kyrie had opened up and told everything. Because she had seen the fires of Jessica's determination in her eyes.
Okay, I need to head back soon. Let's keep what we've talked about a secret, okay?
With a mysterious smile on her face, Kyrie turned around.
I wonder if I scared her too much. And still, it's 100 times better to learn of that hell from a warning. Once you've fallen into it, it's already too late. Good luck, Jessica-chan. It sounds complicated, but don't lose. It's not every day I get to act as a mentor. What is it, Jessica-chan?
A windstorm grazed Kyrie's head. It had been a hair's breadth away. If Kyrie hadn't twisted her body slightly, the fist would probably be buried in her face by now. A bitter smile rose to Jessica's face when she saw that her first strike had failed to land a kill.
Just so you know, I didn't strike you unawares out of cowardice. I hoped to end it with a single painless strike before you realized what was happening.
Didn't I tell you that I've lived through the hell of jealousy? I've been nearly burned a couple of times already. I know how it feels just before a surprise attack.
You mean you could sense it?
That, plus the lie you told in the beginning.
A lie.
Come now. If you had come from the guest house to get a book from your room, you wouldn't have come through this hallway in that direction. Of the 7 reasons you might have had for lying, which chessboard theory led me to, this was the worst case scenario.
Telling a haste lie to Kyrie would only put her on her guard. If Jessica hadn't told that lie, her surprise attack would have succeeded.
Not bad. I should have expected it from you, Aunt Kyrie.
Why? You were planning to kill me from the beginning.
It didn't matter who it was.
How horrible.
It's what you said that gave me the boosting. Thanks a lot.
Kyrie dodged the punch, placed her hand against that fist, and slammed it against the wall. And Jessica would have heard her hand on the wall and rolled around clutching it at it in pain. However, Jessica's fist had left what looked like a meter-wide crater in the wall. Instead of wearing a look of anguish, Jessica clicked her tongue in irritation at having missed. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to be capping it off for tonight, because this episode, we had to start a little late.
We will not get to see Jessica turn this place into styrofoam today.
That's fine by me. That
Sunday.
Oh, I love her idea. That's great. That's scary.
Brain.exe, stop working. Come back later. Blah.
Randy.
Still on birth, huh?
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that today. To be
And
honest.
Eva just really wanted to shove George back up in there, huh?
Oh, God.
It's what AC deserves.
Hey, wait, why did you say AC, bitch?
Yeah.
Look at the other part of that chat.
Okay.
So I don't imagine we need any...
I will not be
discussion
impressed.
right now.
You see, they never bully me because they know it would not affect me.
Gamers, sit down.
Oh wow, mad abuse!
All of my punches have to be pulled because they are all spoilers for various different medias.
Mad abuse.
Listen.
Mad abuse.
Y'all just don't understand. Me and AC have been having like the same debate like 50 million times and he's lost every single one.
Wait, what debate?
We can't even talk about it.
Yeah, it's over me, huh?
It's forbidden.
Zaz, stop. It's not your fight to fight.
Anyway.
Just keep this track going in the post discussion.
What's the matter, George? Does Mummy need to punish you?
Oh, no.
Mummy.
Some good stuff.
Khan, I want to say, never feel ashamed. You're a great voice actor.
Indeed, you're very
Are we gonna do a post discussion, and should I start the 5-minute timer or?
It's already kind of late for that, and even my brain is sort of fried right now.
Okay, in that case, we're gonna be ending.
Is it late for that? Alright.
Okay, but can I just ask something real quick before we go?
Sure.
I really don't understand, because I was kind of like, maybe I, clocked out for a second, but why does Jessica have to fight, Kyrie?
She said that
She's not
it
in
was
the way.
because it was because she would fight whoever the first person she ran into.
Yeah.
Like straight up, it was just random.
Full bar.
Entirely random
It was
chance.
obvious because he wanted to kill Ava for a certain reason.
No, oh yeah, George specifically went after Eva.
Because she wanted to stop him from, marrying her, but Kyrie didn't want to do that. I just didn't.
No,
get
Jessica
that's
is
random.
just accepting
She
the
just
random.
wants to punch someone.
No,
well,
she
she's
doesn't
taking
want
the
to.
random.
She has
And
to.
she didn't want to. We had a whole conversation.
We literally literally dead ass,
right. In the
she
trial,
picked
she
at
has
random.
to kill someone, or else she can't get what she wants.
I did not calmly and coolly monologue at Jessica for like an hour.
By the way, if you want, like, I do have a few things I've noticed. If you want me to throw in a potential discussion topic.
I mean, I don't know.
Shoot, whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. Like you were
Sure,
saying,
sure.
like you weren't sure if you wanted to do the post session.
You can write it down in Umi notes whenever you feel.
I mean, I did. That's,
Alright.
that's what I'm talking about.
No, man.
All right. In that case, like you can rest, but I do have some thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I know. So it said something about Erica having detective authority, allowing her to hear better. Am I not incorrect? Like I think it mentioned something about her, the detective's authority,
Enhanced
giving her.
hearing.
Yeah. Is that just a new thing, or was that?
She can just hear. It's part of the detective's authority.
All right. The other thing I wrote in Umi notes was homies. I guess Erica and rules lady. What's her name again? Delanor.
Good old rules lady.
Fucking road dogs of mine.
Yes, apparently they're homies. I would have never guessed. But it makes sense. But it makes sense given apparently her hatred of magic, I guess.
Got him.
That she would indeed be in love with the girl trying to help her not to disprove magic. That saying magic is not an actual thing you can use in mystery.
Testing. Hello?
Just girls being friends.
I can hear you,
Gals
Kelly.
being pals.
Okay, good.
Just a couple of really good friends.
Mm-hmm. Alright, cool. I got my far with reverb set up properly now. There we go.
My other thing was that apparently the roulette is random and not random, optional. Apparently the roulette is optional. Like it mentioned in previous arcs of like the roulette choosing who is going to die, but there were also other times where it seemed like Beatrice chose who would die. So it seemed like while I believe this is a different roulette that the marriage lady was talking about, I assume this also applies to the Demon's Roulette.
I don't know if that's like a physical thing. I think it's just like a metaphor.
I'm unsure. They talk about it with such like in such a physical manner.
I think
Like it's a thing. Also, I noticed somebody changed Rindy's name. She is no longer Queen Rindy. She is no longer royalty.
No,
I can't believe she got deposed.
I never even got to make a joke calling her Your Highness. Damn.
Wait, yeah.
I don't think that over the previous
What?
I would have said her lowness.
Wait, Joshie, what did Rennie change her name to?
I did not change my name.
You changed your name to AC after I changed it to bitch form AC.
That
Does that fucking channel really have to stay up? Jesus.
You know,
What?
Hugo could have just changed it to Georgie, so I could have kept calling him son.
Oh God.
Oh
I mean,
no.
Shelly, that channel.
Time to unquote Mekon unbirthing me.
Jelly, that channel is so that AC can play porn games.
I see.
because he does the Let's Plays that he can edit the porn out.
That's such
it's
a
a rogue
horrible
and it's
thing
art.
to say out of context. He's playing Tsukihime. It's basically the same thing, but you could at least name drop it.
Okay, I mean, I don't really care.
I
but, yeah.
refuse.
I refuse.
I don't care what video games you play, even if they are porn games.
Oh my fucking god. Okay.
Well, that's why we need to have it there so that it can be so the general population cannot see it.
But what does it have to do with very quick discussions and less about porn?
Very effective discussion, everybody.
That was all I had.
What does it have to do with Umineko?
Nothing.
Fine. Don't worry about it.
That was all I had.
Miranda, I don't know what's going on here.
This is a normal Discord conversation we have every week.
Alright, okay.
I mean, not really.
Alright, enough about this nonsense. I'm gonna end the stream now. If anybody speaks up, I'm just gonna start spamming the fart sound effect.
Beat Beagles.
Danganronpa.
Biddity bop, de boobity bop, boobity bop.
Good night, everybody.
Biddity bop, boop, bop.